So welcome everyone, and thank you for attending our winter lunch and learn. I'm going to ask that our participants, we want to see your lovely faces, but please turn your camera off until the end. When we have our open discussion, we want to see everyone on camera. It just helps with the recording to make it more clear for those who couldn't join us, but are going to watch this recording back via our YouTube channel. So if all of our participants could turn your camera off, that would be greatly appreciated. I will welcome everyone towards the end of the discussion to definitely turn your camera on if that is something that you're interested in doing. All right, so I am so excited today to welcome Kenda S. Roman, who is a licensed professional counselor and senior pastor at New Covenant Life Center. She received a Bachelor of Science degree in elementary education with an endorsement in early childhood from UW-Whitewater and taught kindergarten for 17 years at Gaston Elementary School. Reading that makes me smile and makes me tired at the same time. She earned her master's degree in school and professional counseling from Concordia University and received a second master's degree in curriculum and instruction with a concentration in trauma and resilience from Concordia University. Pastor Kay serves both as a police and funeral home chaplain. She is a racial equity consultant specializing in historical racial trauma. During the pandemic, she launched her business, Inspiration, a trauma-informed educational planning and consulting company. I am so excited to have you here today to talk about lots of things, but mainly Rock County Safe Families for Children. Please help join me in welcoming Kenda S. Roman.
Thank you, Amy. I appreciate it. Thank you all for joining this afternoon. I'm so glad to be here to talk about Safe Families for Children, Rock County, and what we are doing at Safe Families to help kind of deflect our children going into the child welfare system. And so I'm pretty excited about being the Beloit engagement coordinator for Safe Families and what that looks like and what that entails as far as my role in Safe Families and how I coordinate and navigate Safe Families for Beloit. We just broke off from, I shouldn't say broke off, it was amicable. So we used to be Southern, Rock, and Walworth. Now Rock has just become its own entity, and so Walworth has now become rural, and Rock is just its own entity with Beloit and Janesville. So I'm pretty excited about what is happening in Safe Families. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so excited because our audience may not have a lot of information on the changes or what things are new. So I am really grateful to have you here. Just a quick if everyone could just keep their camera off to the end, it'll help with our recording of the conversation, and then I will welcome everyone back to turn their camera on towards the end of our discussion. All right. So my first question is, tell us about Safe Families and how this organization benefits Beloit specifically.
So Safe Families is a nonprofit organization that provides support for families. If you go to the website, it'll say in crisis, but not necessarily in crisis, right? Families that need help through a network of volunteers. We call it a circle of support. We serve Beloit in several ways. The way that I began my journey with Safe Families is Kate Swanson sent me a flyer to distribute among people they were hiring for a Beloit engagement coordinator. And I'm like, that's got my name written all over it because it's what I do right now. And so that's how I started my journey. I'm like, that's me every day, all day. And so Safe Families is really wanted to be a part of Beloit, but was having a really hard time kind of infiltrating Beloit and becoming a part of the community. And so it just worked out well that I was already a community leader and in the community. So it was a great fit, or it is a great fit. So first, it provides support systems for families in need, helping them to maintain stability and avoid of involvement with the child welfare system. And so it kind of we kind of hopefully we prevent the need for foster care or other interventions for families. Safe Families helps to ensure the families stay together and the children can remain with their parents and or with people in their own community. And that was what Safe Families wanted to do in Beloit. We would have calls from Beloit, but we didn't have enough volunteers to service families in Beloit. So the services would come from Janesville or Walworth County if necessary. And so my job is to really recruitment of volunteers to help in this process. And additionally, Safe Families provides valuable resources. So we are not transactional, right? We're relational. And if you know anything about Beloit, Beloit is relational. It is not a transactional community. And so Safe Families works as I build this, it works well, I believe, in Beloit because we are both relational, not transactional. So it's a valuable resource for individuals and families who want to give back to their community, right? If you ask anybody that knows me well, they'll tell you I eat, sleep, drink, and bleed, probably Beloit. I do, because that's just how much I love my community. So by volunteering as a host family or a family friend or a resource friend, Beloit residents can make a positive impact on the lives of families in need and contribute to creating a stronger, more supportive community. So one of the things I would like you to think about is most of us, I'm going to make that assumption, forgive me for making it, but if you have children and you needed someone to pick up your kid from school, or, you've got some parents that are close by, they can do that. There are people in our community that don't have that support, that have no one at all. And so that's what Safe Families does and provides for families. I always think of Safe Families as big brothers and big sisters for families. I didn't realize that I had a safe family, not like that's, I mean, I have a safe family, but not like that. A safe family so I have a 10-year-old that my blessing child that my mother bequeathed to me when she was dying. It would have been her guardian. And so on Thursdays, her godmother takes her every Thursday, picks her up from school, feeds her homework, takes her to school the next day so that I can get a break. And I don't know any parent that wants a break every once in a while from a kid. And so when I started Safe Families, I went, wow, I have a safe family. I was a person in need. I mean, she just took her because I guess I wasn't needed, but she took her because she's like, you need a break. You need one day to be able to do some things for yourself, like go to the grocery store without her and do some things. And so when I thought about it that way, I was, wow, like I have people that I can call in the community to pick her up from school or do this or do that. But to have that thought that there are people in our community that they don't have that. And that social isolation that they feel has to be overwhelming. So overall, Safe Family offers a unique and valuable service for Beloit, Wisconsin. And it helps families in crisis. And I always say families that are not in crisis that just need a little bit of support, a resource friend. But at the same time, creating opportunities for community members to volunteer, to get involved, to make a positive difference in the lives of others in our community, to serve in a way that benefits both the person that's giving the service and the person that's receiving the service. So that's what Safe Families is in a nutshell, and how it benefits, or how I believe it benefits Beloit.
Okay, so already you've given us so much. Uh, and for me, I will make this personal. What happens when your safe family network has been altered? We recently experienced a loss in our family, and she was the one. Like if my schedule changed and the kids needed to go to soccer, or if one child was at soccer and one child needed to be somewhere else, she was like our go-to. And to not have that available any longer, it everybody feels it. Yes. So I love the clarification that this is not just for families that are in crisis, but it sounds like this is just for families. This
For
is for
families.
this is for families. And I love how it seems as though it allows our community an opportunity to kind of fill in the gaps, for people that may not have that built in, kind of go-to person or people just to help with everyday life stuff. I love that you highlighted that this is not transactional, that it is relational. So that's super important. Can you walk us through, you've mentioned host families or resource friend, and I'm assuming that those are the different ways that people can come involved.
Mhm.
Explain to us what those roles are,
That's a
and
really
how
good
they
question.
help families.
So a resource friend is a friend that, say, here's an example. I'll give you a real-time example. I have a family that took her car um, to the shop. The mechanic says it's $6,000, right? Hmm. She's wondering, is it really $6,000 or not? A resource friend then will call around and find people or mechanics to assess her vehicle for her, or find someone that they trust, so that this family doesn't have to do it. This mom has a sick kid that she has to travel to Madison twice a week for her kid. So her car is essential. And so providing either resources or rides. And so this mom does not have to check in that for herself. They just call up her resource friend, and a resource friend does the work for her and assist her in getting to the place that she needs to get, right? A reputable car dealership, or um, finding a mechanic that will come to her house and really assess her car. Do I need to buy a new one, or can this one be fixed? So that's a resource friend. A host family is just kind of what it sounds like. You would take the kid, and another example, a mom had surgery. It was supposed to be outpatient, right? So the host family, day host or night host, day host, pick up the kids from school, take care of the kids for a few hours while the mom gets home, relax after recovery, bring the kids back. However, mom had to spend the night, right? So now the host family just keeps the kid overnight, takes the kid to school. Again, these are vetted. We go through background check, those kind of things as well, and keeps this kid overnight, to just support this family, right? It happens. Like, she didn't expect to spend the night, but that's what happened. But because she had this host family already in her, what we call a circle of support, right? She knew that she didn't have to have surgery and have to worry about, what am I going to do with my kid? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? It was already provided for her. Family coach, is what I like to think of as a dispatch, right? Family coach coaches the family to goals, different things that families want to do. Like, we want to save to go to Disney. I'm sorry, y'all, I just came back from Disney the other day, so I use this example. We want to go to Disney. Okay, what do we need to do, right? So that family coach partners with the resource family to talk about the resource friend, to talk about what this family can do, what's doable for you, and how long are we going to plan out, right? So it's just a circle of support. I don't know about you all, but that sounds just good for me. Even though, like there are times where you just don't want to think. I say, I don't want to use brain cells. I need somebody, or things. So life, in the words of my niece, life is lifing, and I just need somebody to step in and go, let me show you this, and then you think about it and tell me what you think we can do. Okay, is this doable? So those are the different roles that Safe Families has: resource friend, host family, or friend, whichever one. And then we have something called, again, Safe Families is faith-based. So what we call a ministry lead that I changed the name. And what that does is ministry lead is just gathers that congregation to recruit more volunteers, right? That's kind of what a ministry lead does. For me, I changed it to community lead because I feel like in the Beloit community, if you are in the different organizations or organizational leads, that you get the church or you get people that are affiliated with the church, but I feel like if we do more organizations, more so than church is, that you'll get more volunteers. So you'll find me at parent teacher conferences, you'll find me at different events around the city promoting safe families. So those are the different roles that we have to just circle this family. And that's what we do. We circle the family with the support that they may need. One thing that I want to stress is that when you're a host family, because you can host for 6 hours or 6 weeks, when that family never loses custody, it's not custodial like that. If that family says, well, we need to bring Timothy home, I need you to bring Timothy home right now, Timothy comes home right now. Like there's no, well, no, Timothy comes home right now. And so that's one of the ways that we deflect the child welfare system. I love my role because I have so many hats that I wear. I can really promote like, hey, before we call this, system, let me see if I have some safe family volunteers that knows this family that will host the children for 3 or 4 days or 3 or 4 hours. So those are the different ways people can get involved and volunteer. And with that, if I were to call and say, hey, Amy, I have a family that needs an overnight stay, and you say, well, I can't do that right now. Again, it's relational, it's not transactional. It's not something that you have to do. If you don't have the capacity at that moment, you would say, Kenda, I can't do that right now. Maybe you say, I can't do that right now, but I can do this many hours, or I can't service this family right now. And then I go to the next volunteer on my list. So that's the great thing about Safe Families.
Okay, so the mama in me has a question.
Mhm.
I love that this is relational, but what work is done on the front end? Because asking someone to host your child is a big deal, whether
Mhm.
that's a few hours or, like you said, a few days, depending on the needs of the family. And I may not know these people very well. And I understand they've been vetted, they're safe, etc. But is there intentionality around getting to know people in the network who could step in to help you in ways that you might not be thinking of right now before that need arises?
Really good question. Yes. So on the front end, um, especially for my role, if there's a Beloit family, I really try my best I ask the question, okay, who do you know? That's what I like. Who do you know? I got this. Do you know these people, right? Do you need because right, it's relational. And as the mom in you want to make sure that this is a person that you know, and even if they're vetted, that you trust. And so building that relationship up front. So we have different events that families can come to. I am I am building again. So for Beloit, I'm taking a unique perspective because I am building safe families strictly for Beloit. So I'm doing something called Be Beloit. That's the acronym. Um, uh, Building engagement leaders to support each other together. It's an acronym. That's not the accurate acronym, but and so what I'm trying to do is for Be Beloit is that very thing, to have events so that if you're not a part of Safe Families, or if you are, come to this event so that we can share in what's going on in Safe Families, what Safe Families, so that we can get to know one another. So building those relationships and building those bridges between neighbors. One of the things that I think about when I thought about Safe Families and Be Beloit was when I moved to Beloit when I was 9. Don't ask me how old I am now. When I was 9, one of the slogans was Beloit, a safe place to raise families. That used to be that I mean, I'm dating myself a lot. I'm dating myself there, but that was the slogan. And so for me, it's bringing that back, right? Bringing that back. Um, that I am my neighbor's keeper, and I will watch out after my kid. And so for me, building Beloit or building Be Beloit right now, off the ground. When I tell you, come on, I need your help. I am building Be Beloit off the ground for safe families. So that's kind of what we do up front, or what I plan to do up front as far as safe families is concerned. Right now, the motto is to go into different churches and engage in churches, because right, relationships are sometimes established in churches. And so that's the Safe Families motto. For me, I'm more organizational, although I know y'all didn't heard say pastor. I'm more organizational. Like, I'm in organizations like, hey, I need your help just building, because right, in organizations, people know each other. They're sitting on boards with each other. They may not know birthdays and kids' names, but they do know, they've been on a board long enough to know, I don't know the character, or man, I don't know what, yay, I would trust it with my kids. So that's kind of how I'm going about building Beloit, if that answers your question.
No, it definitely does. And the other thing that I love about this is it seems like the people who are circling around the family have distinct roles. And I like that. So as someone who may be interested in volunteering, there's not the pressure that I have to be all things to all families and I have to show up on demand. It seems like there's that give and take. Are you available? If yes, amazing. If not, we're going to move through, and it's not a knock against you. That's, you just didn't have the capacity in that moment. I'm sure we'll come back to you later. I love that it seems like you can match up which role you play with your organic skill set. I'm a planner. I can help people with resources. Some nights my household is crazy. I don't know if I want to subject other people to that. There are drums being played and trumpets and all kind of moving parts. But I can help you find a mechanic. I can help you find a fill in the blank. So I love that it just doesn't seem forced, which is great. So my next question, which I think this was a really good segue, is who is eligible to access services provided by Safe Families?
So anyone is eligible. There's not like an income guideline. It's a voluntary service to families who are experiencing temporary difficulties, or they just need that support in caring for their children. Or it says Safe Families for Children, but caring for that adult too, right? And when I mean caring, a resource friend or a family friend is someone that just you call up. I can call up Carrie Dre and say, I'm having a bad day. And then she's just gonna pump me up and like, you can do it. You got this. Yay. It just affirming that, yeah, you're struggling. It might be a bad day, but it's a bad moment. It's not really a bad day, right? Getting me out of that mindset. It's a bad day. It's been 15 minutes, Kenda. It is not a bad day. It's just a bad moment. You got this. That's what a family friend does. And so I mean, come on, how many of us just need that from time to time? But then when we think about it, how many of us have that? But to think about people that don't have that, or it's transactional. I'll take you to Walmart if you give me $20 in gas. That's transactional. So I'm harming you twice. So it's eligibility depends upon specific services that being need or offered, and the amount of volunteers. So again, I have families that want people strictly from like Beloit. That's some of it. Like, some people just want Beloit. Some people just want help. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. But again, they were struggling with the families that wanted people in Beloit. It's just easier. Like, if I need to meet with you, you can drive from Janesville. But that's when I came in, that was my role, to build the volunteer base in Beloit. But in general, parents who have children under the age of 18 facing challenges such as maybe homelessness or financial instability, domestic violence, health issues, they're eligible for safe family services. We work with children who have been involved in the child welfare system. So we partner with them. We're not like against it's not like we're not beefing with child. We partner with them.
Good to know.
Right. We partner. It's just not like we're friends. We play fair in the sandbox. Um, Eligibility is determined on a case by case basis. And then people can just reach out to me like for more information. It's confidential. For me, I'm a big stickler as a counselor on confidentiality. So in my life, everything's confidential. It's like, so it's confidential, but it's a case by case, sorry, eligibility. But that's pretty much it. We pretty much service everyone.
Okay,
And that
so
was one of the things I asked when I came in, because I know that say families, I'm gonna say it's faith-based. One of the questions I came in was, are we all inclusive? Because if we're not, then I can't be a part. That was in the interview process. I can't do this because right, I need to be able to serve. If we're servicing all, we're servicing all. All means all. So yes.
I love that. I promise you I am not trying to restructure your program with this next question that I did not give you in advance. So just
That's
be
okay.
willing to go with me.
Mhm.
Safe Families for Children. Am I able to access this? Let's say that my kids are grown, but I'm
Mhm.
caring for a parent and I need respite. I just need a minute, or I need resources, or I does it work kind of the reverse, or is that not included currently?
Um, I would say that for I'm strictly Beloit.
Mhm.
For me in the program in B Beloit and what I'm building, I would say yes, that would work. We would service because it's more about relationships. And so how I see it is if your kids are grown, let's say that your kids are grown, but you are you're servicing somewhere in education or whatever. If you're stressed when you go to work, the kids are getting the stress to you. So if we can service you and alleviate some of that stress in your life, then we would do that. We would find the resources for you. And so one of the things I wanted to build in Beloit in my mind for Beloit is I want to create some different sects for Beloit. Like I want to get a group of mechanics that will say, "Hey, Kenda, we'll give you this amount of money per year, or this many, repairs per year for families in Beloit." So if you have somebody that needs a brake job that can't really afford that, I can look at my list and go, "Okay, this is what I got. This is what they're giving me." Childcare. So in my mind, as I'm in some of you may be wondering how long I've been on the job. I started September 1st, and it's just exploded for me. Childcare, finding childcare, having that person to find the right childcare and the right fit. Okay, childcare, what you giving me? Like, right? What do you, because maybe some families don't are exceed the income guideline. So right, what are we going to do? We have to choose between food and taking care of our kids, or working and taking care of our kids. Okay, what discounted price are you giving me? Because I am one that will ask. So that is what my model is for Be Beloit, is to find different organizations, different businesses in Beloit or anywhere else that will service safe families in Beloit or Be Beloit, and help them to become safe family volunteers. My thing is always a chain for Beloit and safe families, that you don't know who's receiving the help and who's getting the help. You don't know, because a chain link is just, it's linked together. But to help families that have been serviced by safe families to now service somebody else coming behind them to pay it forward. That's my vision for Be Beloit.
I love that. So my next question is, do you have information on any racial disparities with respect to children being placed out of homes in Beloit?
So, according to data from the Wisconsin Department of Children and Families, there are significant disparities in the placement of children in foster care or adoptive homes in Beloit. So, here's some data. In 2010, we had 901 African American foster families in Rock County. Now, not Beloit, but in Rock County. In 2020, we had 446 African American foster families in Rock County. But in
Wait a
2010, we had, huh?
Did it just did I hear that correctly? It cut by about 50%?
Yes, you did. I was gonna say that. And here's the
Okay.
thing. In 2010, we had 2,600 African-American children in foster care. In 2010, we only had 901 African-American foster families in 2010. In 2024, I'm sorry, in 2020, we had 2,400 African-American children in foster care with 446 foster care, African-American foster families. And
Okay.
that's the data that I could find.
So lots of questions. My first question, am I correct in understanding that African American children are overrepresented in placements out of homes?
Yes.
Okay. And then my second one, do we know why? And then my second question is, what is happening to our African American foster families? Do we know what?
Well, one of the things that I find with the um, with the foster family, foster African American foster families, which I happen to be one. My oldest I took, but he's mine. He's just mine. um, was when I went through it, whatever year that was that I took him, he was 12. Um, it's a very stringent process, right? And it was for me, it felt like it was designed that people BIPOC, it made it more difficult for them to become foster families. I'll give you an example. My family has been with Human Services forever. My parents were foster families before, I don't even know. I just grew up like, I come home, mom, who is that? They didn't have a place to live. They're gonna live with us. Okay, mom. That's just kind of how my mom and dad were. But my son had a fight when he was 12 and didn't want to fight. Boy kept pushing him, hitting him. He threw a punch. My um, that punch landed him in trouble. Uh, that was going to stop me from getting son, my son, who was sitting in juvenile detention, not because he had done anything, because there were no foster families to take him or wanted a 12-year-old African-American male. It wasn't anything that I did. It wasn't, he threw a punch. I mean, it was on back then, it was on camera. So it wasn't like he was defending himself, but because he was in this fight and his punch landed in a way that it injured the other kid, one punch, it was going to stop me from being able to get my 12-year-old who was sitting in juvenile detention, not because he did anything. There was no word, there was no placement for him. So that's just a personal narrative that I experienced going through this process of wanting, to take in this 12-year-old that I knew from birth. So that's one of the things that the guidelines are also, I believe that just getting the information out to African-American families that here's the numbers, and that's 2020, that's 4 years ago. What are the numbers now, right? And so getting that information out to families, I believe that the narrative, as I do a breaking the stigma narrative, also getting the information and breaking the information of, we know more that our kids go into the system, but do we know just as much about our kids or helping our kids to come out of the system and becoming a part of a family that looks like them? I don't know, but I just do know that just getting that information into the hands of the people, just like Safe Families. Before I got that flyer, I had no clue Safe Families existed. Safe Families has existed for a long time, 20 years. We're celebrating 20 years, and I believe 10 in this area, right? Southern or whatever, between 8 and 10 years. I had no clue Safe Families that it even existed.
Before I
And
had
I'm
a
in the
conversation
community.
with you,
I'm in the community all the time. I was like, what? What? My first question, how long y'all been in existence? That was my very first question. Like, how come I don't know about you? So yeah. You had a second question?
No, you
Okay.
answered both, so thank you for that. I was commenting that before I ran into you, I think at an NAACP meeting, and we had a conversation. I didn't know safe families was a thing either. So I'm so glad we're having this conversation and other people are able to hear it and join in on it. Another question that I have, and I promise everyone who's in the audience, I'm going to open the floor for you to ask your questions as well. So if you want to start putting those in the chat, I'll get to those shortly. So please go ahead and do that. Mental health services, is that something that is available through Safe Families or referrals, or if people are reaching out and saying, hey, I need a little bit more help from a professional, I need to talk through some things, etc. Is that something that is encouraged or helping people make connections to mental health services if requested?
Yes. And again, right, it's relationship building, and we know that breaking that stigma of mental health, so that requires a lot of relationship building for a family to even ask for that. So if a family asks a host family or a resource friend or a family coach for services, kudos to that volunteer, because you've made an impression on this family, and really you are a part of their family at that point, because that's a tough subject to talk about. So for them to feel comfortable, kudos to that volunteer who have really come into this family as a family member, without judgment, without anything, and just to support and to be a part. So families who receive through Safe Families, they're eligible to receive mental health services if requested. But again, going through the resource friend, looking at insurance, looking at different avenues to support them in this quest for mental wellness. We're committed to the whole family, holistic support to the family in need. That's what we are committed to, which includes addressing their mental health needs. We provide referrals and connect families with mental resources in our community and access to mental health. Um, but again, right, the family's in the driver's seat. We want to keep that in mind. It's relational, right? A little bit different than human services, right? The family's not always in the driver's seat, but if the family's in the driver's seat, we're just an additional family member that lives in a different house. Like we like the fourth cousin, right? And that's how I know, that's how I think about it. Like this is my fourth cousin. But it's important for families to communicate that their needs and preferences when it comes the Safe Families. It really is like having that conversation about what you need. But again, creating that volunteers that create that environment where I feel safe enough to have that conversation with Dawn about, I'm struggling and I feel like I'm falling into a depression. And so can you help me with this, right? Having that heart-to-heart conversation. So yes, we will do referrals, again, going through the resource friends, but that circle of support, we all work together in confidentiality. Host family, if that's an inpatient, that host family, you have that. You don't have to worry, what if I go in for inpatient, what am I going to do with my children, right? Host family. Resource friends find you the right fit, right? Family coach talks to you about the goals, like what are your goals when you want to come out? How are we going to service you? What's your connections? What's your circle of influence? What does that look like? If you belong to an organization or a church, like who do you want to be a part of this team for you? So again, this circle of support is circling this family, right? And becoming a part of this family. We have families that have watched, volunteers have watched, now they were part, now they're watching the grandkids. Not that they are part of that, the grandkids are a part, but just watching this family because they've become a part. Graduations, weddings, it's a beautiful thing when done correctly.
So with that in mind, my last question before I open it up to everyone else, and I'm gonna, spoiler alert, I'm gonna sneak a question in just before that. But my last official question is, what can community members do to support this work? But before you answer that question, um, I'm assuming people that want to volunteer want to be the best host family or family coach or resource friend they can be to this family. what type of training do volunteers receive, and what type of ongoing support? Because I know you said this isn't just for families that are in crisis, but it could get difficult and secondary trauma is real. So what type of upfront training would someone need to go through before they're placed in this role, and what ongoing support is available?
So we have, I believe it is 6 hours. The first hour is you do it from home. It's virtual video, and then we go through it may be six, maybe three, um, maybe four. But anyway, it's between I think it's four. And so first is the video. We go through just what Safe Family is about, the history of Safe Families, what that looks like, and then we train in the different roles. So a host families training is a little bit different than a family coach training, which is different than a resource friend training. Resource friends is one of the ones that is the least amount of training and that you just sign off on because it's just a matter of picking up a phone, right? Or organizing, strategizing with people. The family coach is the more intense training where you go through ACEs and you go through the background check and you go through talking about having a family come into your or child come into your home. And I should say a family because one of my cases is I have a 17-year-old that has a child and is pregnant now, right? So because the child is a child, right? We had to find host family for 2.5, right? So again, finding this. So that training, just going through what that looks like for yourself as a host family, what to expect, and what again, if you don't allow jumping on your sofa, we're gonna have that conversation, right? We're gonna have that conversation. And so the ongoing support is we have every other month, I believe, we have meetings with our volunteers to talk about what the positive, what's going on, what's your praises, what's your concerns, what do you need help with? The other thing that I love about Safe Families is Safe Families send their volunteers to I believe between a 3 and 5 day training I'm sorry, resort train. It's a training, but it's more like I like to call it a spa 3 days, every 3 to 5 years, right? Expense free. Right? Giving back. It's funny you asked that because today I'm in the mail, right? I got the mail out. I'm like, oh my gosh, here we got some more junk mail. I'm like, what is it? And it was a thank you from Safe Families with a Starbucks card. Random, just random. So we really do appreciate our staff. I was like, oh, well, I wish I'd had this morning when I went to Starbucks, but it's okay. I'll use it later on. But that really touches my heart that we care enough about our volunteers that we do send them. This year, actually, it's a volunteer year. So sometimes it's a staff year, it's administrative year, and then sometimes it's a volunteer year. This year it happens to be a volunteer year, and the volunteers are going to Chicago. I believe it's 3 days for, they're getting like glam bags and just it is a beautiful thing. So that's the ongoing support. We come together, we talk about so again, it's faith-based. So every week they send out prayer list and you team up with somebody if you choose to. And you get together and you talk about the prayer and what are you looking for this week. It's a scripture. There's for resource families, every week you meet with your resource team from all over we used to be Southern. So Southern, we all get together, right? So core engagement, myself, I get together with other engagement coordinators from Milwaukee, different places. We get together once a week on a Zoom call and we have conversations about what's going well, what can we do better? Hey, what you're doing? I just got an email that said, anybody do things other than churches like organizations? I'm like, me, that's me. So that's the kind of support that we provide for our volunteers because we do appreciate what they do because, right, it's not transactional. It's not. So
No, I love that. So how can community members get involved? What's step one? Who do I email? Who do I call? What website do I go to? How do I get started?
So one of the ways that you can get started is I can put it in the chat or send it to you, is I can send the link, and it you just fill it out. I believe it's a Google Doc, and it says that you're interested in volunteering. That's the first step. We contact you, we talk to you about like the role you want to play, right? And you can do more than one role. And most of the time, that's what people do. Then they set up the training for you. There's virtual training. As a matter of fact, there was one coming up, I believe, March 6th or 9th. It's coming up soon. So get in there and get that form filled out. But volunteers are the biggest thing that we need. The families will come. That's what I tell, say, families administration. I'm not really searching for families right now because families will come. I'm searching for volunteers because we really do need volunteers in our community. That you can always donate, but we don't do like pamper drives and that kind of, things, because that's transactional. However, I had a situation where one of my families in Beloit needed a space heater. Their furnace went out on a Saturday. They were getting it fixed on the landlord's getting it fixed on Monday. They needed a space heater. I got on the in chat like, hey, who's got a space heater? Got a space heater. I got 3 or 4 people that had a space heater. But if they didn't, what I did was have a grant for the Hendricks Foundation downtown, and over Christmas they raised $2,400 worth of gift cards for Beloit for families. Again, like, so say that they do need food. How many of us, if we need food, want somebody going shopping with us? Like, I don't want to go shopping, but right? Still giving that family the autonomy and the independence, right? It's transactional, right? If I need, if Tia needs to, if Tia and I are sisters, like, and she's like, hey, I need to borrow $50, she'll need to go to Walmart with me. She's just gonna give me the $50. Like, she don't need to go shopping with me. The same thing we do with our families. Like, we give this gift card. Like, hey, here you go. We don't do that a lot, but there are times where that has to happen. We give bus tokens. So families need bus tokens. I find rides for families that need to go here and there. But again, it's relational. We stress the relation part of it. So donating, like gift cards if necessary. One of the other things is spreading the word and just advocating, right, for more safe family intervention in our community. So those are just 4 ways that I thought about that community members could help, but we really do need volunteers, especially in the Beloit area. We do.
I love that. So at this point, anyone who is interested, please turn on your camera so we can see your beautiful face. And you are free to ask questions of Kenda. You can either type those out in the chat and I will relay those because I don't know who has their chat open, who doesn't, just so everyone can hear the question. Or if you want to unmute, just please go ahead and put a question mark in the chat so I'll know who to call on. There almost 30 of us in the space, so I don't want us to have to talk over each other. But this is your opportunity. Did you know about Safe Family? Did you learn something new today? Do you have questions about what you learned? Specific questions about getting involved that maybe we hadn't covered yet? This is your opportunity.
Hey, Amy, I don't think we can show us our videos. We can't unlock it for some reason.
People should be able to turn their videos on. There were
Just says you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
Oh, I did stop a couple people because I think
but not everybody. Okay, perfect.
yeah, came in after the announcement and we wanted it for recordings. So if you are able and interested, please feel free to start your video. But if you have questions, go ahead and put those in the chat and I will read them, or you can put a question mark and I'll call on you and you can unmute. Thank you for putting that in the chat. That is helpful. Okay, so while we wait for questions to come in, what is the most what is the most surprising aspect of your work that you just didn't expect? And what so far has been, and I know you've been in this position since September, so we have some context there. What is the thing that has been most rewarding?
Um, I I believe the thing that has been most rewarding in my role is just the engagement, just being able to bring awareness to safe families. That was so it's twofold. That was the most surprising that I didn't know. And when I talk to people about safe families, they don't know. I was like, say, what is that? Right. And so just bringing awareness that safe families exist and how safe families could truly partner with different people services and different things like that for that family support. Right. And having that. So just bringing awareness has been the most rewarding for me and engaging with families to be able to help and knowing that families for me, I said, when I took on the job, I said, Beloit does not need to be saved. We don't need to be saved. We're good. But I wanted to shine the light on the amazing community members that we have in this community that will step up to the plate and say, you know what? I will take on being a resource friend. So that has been for me the most rewarding. Is like, let me see where my all-stars at, where they at. That's so for me, that's kind of where I've been. It's like, I cannot wait to build this network of Beloit all-stars, amazing community members that will step up to the plate, knowing that if they don't have the capacity at the time, they can say, you know, I can't do it now. And so that has been the most rewarding, just bringing awareness and building this amazing Beloit volunteer base.
I love that. So Heidi has put in the chat, how can YW help support from volunteer perspective or other?
I believe that again, like encouraging volunteering, encouraging the people to get involved with safe families, to find out more about safe families. Um, I know I keep stressing the volunteer part because when I came into the role, we had three, I believe, three volunteers and one was inactive. So I think that's two in Beloit. So when I say it's Neil. When I first came on, I have a volunteer on right now that was trained. I don't know, she may have gotten off, I'm not sure. But Carmela went through the training. So when I first got on, there's some people I can like voluntold. And so I kind of voluntold them. They're like, you're gonna be trained. So we now have eight. We have eight people. I'm like, look at us building this beautiful bank of volunteers. So we have a family coach, couple resource friends. I believe Carmela is going to be a host family, I believe. And so, right, so we started out with eight. So I think now we have 10. One of my goals because I set goals for myself is to have 25 is it. But I said, 25, I'm lowballing because people in Beloit and Rock County are amazing. So I know I'm going to supersede that number. I just didn't want to show anybody else up. So that's kind of the joke that I say when I'm, in meetings of safe families, like, I just don't want to show anybody up. So I would lowball at 25. So yeah.
I'm sure you will be at and past 25 in no time. Allison has put in the chat, would safe families be able to work with parenting youth who are under 18?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Would they need parental consent to participate in safe families?
Now that is where we kind of right there, like with the 17-year-old, we work with the families. We try our best to navigate that water with the parent that's the parent of the 17 or 18-year-old. We again building that relationship, but we do have some youth that are 17 that have been emancipated. Again, the 17-year-old with the child and then a child on the way. I have a person that not a volunteer yet, but they're going to be, and they're like, I would have definitely taken her. Like I'm like, yeah, I know, right? get your volunteer stuff done. So yes, to answer your question, we try our best to navigate that water. We do.
Thank
you.
Great questions. We have 6 minutes left. You know, I'm going to get you out on time. We start on time, we end on time. But please don't waste this opportunity. If you have questions, if it's somewhat of a private nature, I'm sure Kenda would be fine if you direct message her. If you do that, please include your email so she can respond to you if it's not something that you want addressed here. I'm speaking for you, Kenda. Is that okay?
That's beautiful.
Perfect.
And if you would like to, Amy, I'm not sure if Carmela is on, but she is a perfect person. I'm putting her on the spot to talk about, because she went through the training. So she was there, and so she could, if she would, I'm not sure if she's still on, but
I'm
talk about.
scrolling through the list now. I don't see Carmela, but I
Okay.
know Carmela, and Carmela has such a beautiful spirit. I know that she is a perfect fit for the programming that you described. So I'm very excited that she's a part of that. So if we want to refer a family that we think could benefit from these services, or if I'm a family that needs these services, how do they connect? Is it the same site? Is it the same process as a volunteer would? How does that work?
One that you can definitely reach out to me, and you can also go to, I'm going to bring it up for you. I'm gonna put it in the chat. It's a fine, it's a fine support, so you can definitely reach out and refer a family. And again, it goes to the family coach, and the family coach again looks for the best fit, right? Best fit. Right now, I have a father who has 2 children. He's trying to get back on his feet. The children have daycare. He's just trying to find work, trying to go to work, but he needs someone to be able to like take the kids to school and pick the kids up and bring them home. That's the kind, right? And we think about that and go, wow, but there are people in our community that don't have that. That's all he needs is someone to take his kids to school for him and then pick them up and bring them home, at the end of the day. And it is, so um, that's a resource friend. It's what that would be.
Right.
Uh,
And
and I reach out to a lot of, like, you fly, we buy, or I may have said that backwards, but I'll reach out to a lot of different places to like, hey, don't you want to donate? Don't you want to give of some of your time and resources? I am one that will definitely reach out to advocate for families.
that is wonderful. And it may seem like such a small thing, but that can be huge for the parents. Like, I just need this one piece to make the picture come together. I just need this one piece. And so I'm so excited that more community members are learning about these opportunities to be involved, because what may seem really small to you can be huge to a family.
And to add to that, Amy, and so just think about that. If this dad is too many times late picking up his kids, or if it's past 4 o'clock, think about the collateral damage that could happen with that, and how there could be calls to CPS, right? Because his dad, he's doing everything. He's a single father, and but he's later and later, and it can just go left really quickly. And so having that person that is going to take care of that kid and bring them home safely to you, changes your whole world. It changes your life for the better, right? It gives you, it levels the playing field for you where it wouldn't. Like you're stressed out, and we've all been there at times where we just don't even know. Like, oh my God, how am I gonna get all this stuff? Like you said, like somebody's got to go over here, and somebody's go, well, how am I gonna get this done? So yes.
Love that. So with our minute remaining, what do you want us to remember most from this time that we've shared together? If we have one takeaway, and you've given us so much great information, and we are so grateful for that, but what is the main thing that we need to know about safe families and about Beloit?
One of the main things that I want you to take away is to know that there are families in our community that are in social isolation, that have no one. And you could be that someone with just a phone call or a pickup, pick up from school. So just to know that I say our normal is not everybody else's normal. And when I taught, I said, I can't teach from where I live. I have to get outside of that. And just to know that there are people in our community that don't have anyone that they can call. And that may seem like something that we can't fathom, but know that it exists and know that we can be the change that we want to see for this family.
Well, that was a beautiful place to end. My friend, I am so grateful that you agreed to join me for our winter lunch and learn and engage in this really important conversation, and that we can help get the word out about this amazing programming. So thank you so much.
Thank you all for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you for all your support. I can't wait to see all your names on that volunteer list. I can't wait.
Right, me too. I'm excited. All right, thank you so much and take care.
Thank you, everyone.